Y 3, 2, 1. Hola, señor. ¿Qué tal?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? We were speaking Spanish to begin with. I know fuck all Spanish. Like I've got like the smallest lexicon. I'm like, muy bien. Yo soy muy cansado. You know, and that's all I really know. You're good though. You're yeah. How's I'm very grateful. We're first doing a podcast with someone pretty much in my time zone because
Yeah,
with all
that's
the rest
really,
of them, it's been like
yeah,
it's been like American time, and they're all like still fresh, and I'm like just like I've had a full day, and I'm like
yeah, exactly.
trying to
I have
keep
to,
up.
yeah, we don't have to just get in the middle of the night or whatever. So
See, see,
it's
see.
really comfy here.
For sure, yeah. So you're I would say that you're probably the most proficient member of the Discord that we have for Libernet. I mean, I see you. I mean, for the Libernet, I see you everywhere. Like I'll go on any of the sub chats, and you've created a whole lot of stuff, or like developing and bots and all the rest of it. And I'm not too sure about exactly what the role I see you do is, but it's like it's certainly prolific, and it was really really cool.
Yeah, so that's something that happens when you're a system administrator
Yeah.
as a career, because kind of you get all the all the wars but not the glory. You have kind of be in all places and putting out fires in a lot of places, but you don't get any glory from that. But that's what I like to do, and that's what I'm trying to to add value to Libernet in that way. I mean, I can try to I mean, kind of my role, or what I like to do, even when I'm playing games, by the way. So I try to be the support, so I can just have people have what they need to just work or make their activities or deliverables or whatever. So yeah, that's I try to do as best as I can.
Yes, I mean it's brilliant. I mean, I think it's so like it's just so much work you put into it, and I think that though we both have a very similar goal in mind when we're sort of investigating like what we were passionate about in the work that we're sort of doing. We're very we're sort of very sort of extremely very different in how we do it. I'm sort of much like you're you have a look, you're sort of quite. You suddenly add a lot of structure to what we're doing, and with someone like me, that's sort of more of a creative, like I'll be talking to people, and a lot of my things are sort of like really going into sort of creative paths and being like like how do I want to communicate? How do I want to sort of express this personality and this kind of content? And as very common with creatives, my organization is all over the place. That's that's the cards
Yeah,
I've been
but
dealt with, man.
but that's the good things. I mean, we actually the best synergies are from people that are quite the opposite, but they are able to understand each other and kind of respect what they do and try to row in the same direction. I mean, you can apport that creativity, you can apport that kind of thing, and I kind of like the structure, and I need to do it because that's also how my mind works. I need like goals and structures and that kind of thing. It's not like I'm that squared minded or something like that, but it's the way I mean, I'm an IT guy, so that's, I mean, I need to code stuff and, and to have structures to be able to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, can you hear me all right? Is my
Yeah.
audio loud enough? Okay,
Awesome. Yeah. No problem. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, it's like I mean I find it just so like interesting with like new work structures and everything, how people from all over the world can just like work on their computers, and it's been this sort of strange combination of COVID and the internet's just complete engulfment of the world, and COVID's really kind of like shown people that you don't even need the sort of the sort of traditional office in order to actually make things happen.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, COVID kind of forced a lot of companies to kind of be in the remote work mode. But talking about that, how people for all over the world can just work from their homes. For me, blockchain, it's the feeling of, I mean, the scope or of your actions are worldwide. I mean, I didn't feel that with any other thing I did in the past, like coding, because I mean, I have done things and I just know, I mean, that's what my job is doing that. But you know, the things that you can achieve here on Twitter and on Discord and just you know, knowing people and then kind of develop on and iterate on those relationships is amazing. I mean, you can just, you know, grasp the whole world with from here, and it's really an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's really it is wonderful. I mean, you know, like to just sort of find common interest with people all around the world, as opposed to sort of, you know, being sort of locked to maybe a certain town where, you know, and most of the time when you're doing that, you're not going to really do office work, or, you know, or even creative, maybe creative work. But like, again, like, yeah. Well, I'll get to the creative work, but like with office work, it's usually something that you don't really give a fuck about. You know, it's like, you know, the amount of people that I know that sort of, you know, do office work and sort of sales and marketing and all the rest of it. And it's to do with some, you know, like my flatmate was working for a year and a half for a water company. And here in the UK, water is private. I don't know what it is like in Spain, but we pay for in water and out water. And you know that, and if you know what that means, yeah, and you know, it's like we don't want to help these people, you know. But here we are working for them, and a lot of people have worked for this company, and it's like, you know, the fact that there are, you know, if you like something, there will be someone in the world that likes that and has thought about it way more than you have, and that's what's really cool.
Yeah. And the people, I mean, in blockchain like ecosystems, people really reverberate really fast. I mean, you can just get someone to actually start talking with him about a topic you want and you like, and then it's gonna reverberate really fast and say, okay, so all right, I did this and I can do this and I like this and I see this project, and it's really really awesome. That even, you know, the way I got into Libernet, it's really funny because, you know, I have my own YouTube channel. You should check it out if you speak Spanish.
I'll put it in.
All of you. Yeah,
I need to learn. You can implicitly teach me Spanish. I'll
so the thing is, I have my own channel, and I started interviewing people too. So I interviewed like Daniel Fernandez, who is the CEO of Polygonal Minds, the guys behind crypto avatars and a lot of, you know, a lot of places that are built on Decentraland. They build them. So I asked him in the, I mean, with the camera off, not in the interview, but I asked him if he had any Discord channel or any community in which you can just say your idea and find people who were interested on doing the same thing that you, and just trying to push the project forward. And he told me, yeah, okay, there is this Discord, there is the WIP Discord, the work in progress Discord. Just go there. There is a bunch of people there that, you know, they're kind of venture capital already lurking and finding people there and stuff. So go and try. And so I went there, and since I have pretty close the same idea as Dylan and Alex before even knowing them, because I published a book just as a personal goal about explaining Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for newbies, because I kind of get in the kind of in a loop of explaining the same thing over and over again when people just ask me about cryptocurrency. So I told, okay, so why don't I just write it and publish a book, and so I can say, okay, so read my book, and that's it.
Are there any links to it online? And is it in Spanish or English?
Yeah, it's in Spanish, of course. Yeah,
it's in Spanish. It's easy. Okay. Yeah. That sounds awesome. I mean,
so I have the same idea of them, like just saying, okay, so I mean, NFTs could really work for books and for other media, but for books, and we can do so much for with this technology for books, because no one ever has done anything with the books yet. So I was having this idea of creating NFTs with books, a worldwide library. I even put up a web page by myself and stuff. And then I get to this Discord, and I find the books channel. That there was a books channel, so I go there, and the last people that wrote there was Dylan, and he was talking about his book, about the article he put out about how I transformed my book into an NFT with the Bring Back Satire, you know. And I say, oh my God, I mean, that's what I want to do. And I just write to him and I say, okay, so, hey, I have the same idea as you. So, and he just fast DM me, and we started to talk, and then I got into Libernet, and that's it. That's the story.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah, it's really about that article. I've skim read all of those articles because we're hopefully going to be compiling them into some other some sort of product that we know. I'm not going to talk about too much because he'll get the man on. He can we can talk about it. Me and Dylan together, which we're very excited for. But yeah, it's I actually think that with my limited knowledge that books for NFTs, not that NFTs are like a fad or whatever, but in terms of the trend, I think because at the moment it is a sort of trend, and I think there's going to be a dip in people sort of caring about it too much. After, I don't know, I don't know, but like I think this is I think it's going to go down at some point, and I think books are going to completely outlive that because people already do it as if it's an NFT anyway. So
yeah, the thing is, NFTs. I mean, the fundamentals of the technology, it's not going to change. I mean, now it's true that it's quite the hype with them. I mean, everyone is kind of going to the NFT wave, like even toilet paper brands and Pringles and I mean, and everyone, it's like publishing NFTs, and it's like any other technology. It's like a double blade sword. I mean, you can use it for good, you can use it for bad. I mean, there will be NFTs that have actually value, and you will have NFTs that they are worthless. There's people that okay, so it's money. I mean, it's there are money, or it's money on the NFTs. Okay, let's go that way. Even people, these artists that sold the 5,000 first days for $70 million. He said that NFTs are just a wave, and he actually changed all the Ethereum he got for dollars. So and I don't blame him. I mean, he can be like a super duper artist, but he can. I mean, he's not obligated to understand the technology and see if this is gonna just follow and go through time or not. So that's a good way of using them. If they're gonna give you money, just use them as a tool. But I mean, the functionality is gonna stay there, and there are a lot of uses cases that are gonna stay even when the hype wave is gonna go off and correct a little.
This is a really important thing about tools, and this is sort of I think that's if we sort of speaking sort of, I don't know, philosophically, it's a sort of one of the defining assets of human beings. And when we think about like what these things are, we have to sort of have a sort of framework about what, whether it's a tool or not, rather than just something, rather than sort of just something that we haven't really got a name for, or something that we just do because we do it with, like, like NFTs, it's a fad, blah, blah, blah. Why do I, and if we employ the framework of like, this is a tool that's going to help you in some way. And if it's going to solve a problem, and that problem persists for, for a very foreseeable future, a very long foreseeable future, then by God, like, of course, that can be much more of a testament to whether it's going to last, as opposed to how popular it is, or who's talking about it, or I don't know, like who's advertising it, things like this.
Yeah, totally right. And the thing is, even Bitcoin was born as a tool. I mean, of course, it has like that really big goal of being, or trying to be the currency of the world and the store of value of the world. But that's it. I mean, as a store of value, as a means of transact with people, as it was a tool. And even the blockchain, that the technology behind Bitcoin, it's a tool too. It was. I mean, we're seeing a lot of results from for that. I mean, there are a lot of projects, a lot of other use cases that also use cryptocurrencies, but they are different use cases that not being the currency of the world. And that's for the first time we have kind of a a monetary system that was created by engineers, and that's really awesome and
that's
important.
Well, and perhaps it's good to sort of, because I've really made a note to myself to be more explanatory to people that sort of aren't too aware of what what this all means, like NFTs and all the rest of it. I mean, the reason that I'm attracted to Bitcoin is like multiple. I mean, I was talking to my friend, and they're very kind of skeptical of it, and they're like, well, why are people going to switch to Bitcoin? And I'm like, okay, what sort of answer do you want? Do you want a moral answer? Do you want a political answer? Do you want a social answer? Do you want a psychological answer? Do you want a business related answer? Do you want a creative related answer? Because I've got answers for all six, and counting. And I'll pick one at random. Like the creative one, the creative answer is that artists and general creators are going to be far more able to monetize their creativity through sort of new technology such as Bitcoin and markets that, for example, that pay creators for their ad revenue, and a social reason is a bit more a political reason would be how it doesn't really belong to in a company or an institution like like the Federal Reserve or the US dollar, and the US dollar has so much blood on it anyway that that we have to think about that, and I mean, like, if there is anything that anyone wants to sort of like know or like doesn't really believe in on Bitcoin, please leave me a message on Twitter or my Instagram. I'll put them in the description, or even just just tweet us as the Libernet, and we'd love to answer any sort of like actual questions. And we aren't just advertisers of Bitcoin. We're not being paid by Satoshi. We're genuinely fascinated by the technology, and we are very open to criticism because we don't really think it's like it doesn't really get in our way in terms of what we actually think the technology is going to be like, even now and in the future. People are sort of, one thing someone said was something about, I don't know, something, like the gas prices or whatever. Another one is sort of something like, I can't go out to the shop and buy with Bitcoin. And it's so short-sighted when you're thinking about like, I don't know, the internet. It's like, oh, I can't call people on the internet, and it's like, back in the 90s or whatever, and it's like, well, come on, man, have a bit of imagination,
and the thing, those kinds of critics actually existed. I mean, there was people that was calling internet a bubble, and things. I mean, I don't know if you saw the interview that Bill Gates had with some of the this kind of late night hosts in the 80s or some in the 90s, and there's like, I mean, he's like say, okay, so what's different? He's talking about kind of the first steps of streaming, like seeing a baseball play with, I mean, through internet, and he was the host was saying, so okay, what's that different from my radio on my living room? That's okay. I mean, it's the same conclusion, but all the things behind that, and I can watch it wherever and whenever I want and stuff. So I mean, there's gonna people that just not gonna just make that step and try to think of the implication of this, but their implications are huge. I mean, it's really exciting to be able to leave something like the .com. I mean, I never expected that I will leave something like that. I mean, because us, like in this kind of ages, in 30s or so, or 20 lates, I mean, we were born in a lot of crises and things that are not good, like the 2008, and then another ones, and we're kind of used to not having any kind of revolution or something to fight for. So this is also really good and empowering. I mean, the sovereignty that the blockchain gives to you, that for that reason only, it's worth just to kind of learn about it. Not just to be able to cut the middlemen in between all this. So it's awesome.
Acuerdo. So like, I mean, like with sort of anticipating the future as well. It isn't that we're investing all of our ideas into like, I don't know, like a company, or like just like a like a pyramid, like a pyramid scheme or something, where it'd be like, oh yeah, buy Bitcoin and then it'll get big. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the ability for it to be a tool to help people, like to basically help people's experiences. And it isn't one idea. It's countless ideas that are formed through technology in the same way that the internet was, in the same way that the radio was, in the same way that the printing press was, and that ability to it's empower people to create, to sort of to create and get what they deserve for what they create, and communicate with each other, as we're seeing introduction of the DAO, which is like, to be really simply, which is like, like a decentralized organization where people can just like put in what they want, and it's all logged and it's all transparent, very similar to how the blockchain will work. And the blockchain was like a sort of, is a database where you can see how transactions are working, including NFTs, such as non-fungible tokens, where people can, prove sort of ownership of something through like a token as a sort of symbol of their social currency, which isn't a new thing anyway. That's something that we've been doing since we've been human beings, like, war paint, or, like feathers on a dress. It's the same thing.
And we have like a really cool tool to do it, and who actually gave us the abilities to verify each and every transaction and be kind of really the owners of what we have in the digital world. So that's really awesome. The thing is that people doesn't, for me it's really difficult not to to understand that people doesn't understand that Bitcoin growth was natural. There was not the first company or entity or whatever that actually make people think that Bitcoin is a good thing. There was no one, no Facebook, no Google, no advertising, zero on marketing for Bitcoin. But then now it's $1 trillion asset. So how do you call that a bubble? I mean, how much things have to happen so people understand that this is a wave that is going to come and stay? I mean, it's not going to go away. I mean, that's that. And it's really difficult for me to to get in the other person point of view to be able to explain things, because that's what I want to do in Spanish, but that's what I want to do, just to be like, to speak about Bitcoin and stuff, because a lot of information it's on English. And for me, language barrier should not be like a barrier for people to enter this world. But the fact is the fact. I mean, the best info is on English. So I'm trying to, through my channel, just to give people the enough info so they can just go by themselves and start learning things and understand things. I don't clickbait things, I don't know, okay, so I don't know, this pattern is gonna make you rich in Bitcoin. No, I don't do that kind of stuff. It's not
it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not everyone get on it now. And like one of the things that my friend said, they said, the thing is that if everyone uses it, then it won't be valuable anymore. And it's like, well, that's not. Yes,
that's exactly the opposite.
Yes, exactly. And there is a hidden advantage of getting on it early, and then it growing in value, and then saying, well, I got on it early. But that's not actually what we care about per se. We much more care about the ability for transparent, decentralized transactions to take place, where people can really just do, like they have much more mobility to do what they want. And for example, post it on a crypto TikTok as an example, and this is sort of the kind of the things that we're sort of envisioning over the next 10 to 20 years. And crypto TikTok, and as they accumulate followers, both the followers and the creators would get some fair share in cryptocurrency or whatever, and in a way that the US dollar will do its best to prevent. And because that's how it fucking works for like these men in suits or whatever.
People in power doesn't want to leave that power. I mean, they want to be able to keep controlling people and stuff. And not all that we are saying that's what we want to do, but with authors. I mean, what we want to provide is a tool that to actually really connect authors to the audience. I mean,
with Libernet, exactly. Yes, with Libernet specifically.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what we want to do. I mean, it's probably the same logic. Well, not the same, but it's kind of the same, like close vision of how Bitcoin works for other things. I mean, what we want to do is just to be able to make the people, I mean, the authors and the creative people actually own what they create and actually, be able to control the sales and stuff for what they create. I mean, they don't need anyone to sell what they created because it's theirs. It's not from Amazon. It's not from Google Books, or it's not, it's not of any of these companies.
I don't know if Blackwell's a worldwide book printing organization, but when I went to university, there'd be this lecturer, and then they would say, like, to follow the course, you should buy my book, buy it in Blackwell, and obviously there'd be like, and it'd be like, and I could get the 8th edition, which would be like, far cheaper, but they've made a few tweaks. So now it's the 9th edition and it costs 60 quid. And I kept, and they're like, and then the lovely the bookstore in the university would have extortionate book prices. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like,
yeah, I mean,
and with universities are something that we can sort of get to later. And I'm sure that as I talk to Dylan and other people in Libernet, we'll have a talk. So I've got a really cool idea coming up for sort of, for that.
Awesome.
So that, yeah.
And that's another thing that we already talked about, the level of the people that I'm now actually working with, like, it's amazing. I mean, it's like Alex that you already have on the podcast, and Eric, and then it's Dylan, and then it's you, and then it's and then it's Anthony, and then
Anthony is that's quite exciting.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. Anthony, it's just
but that shows that shows that's with that just sort of shows that it's not that we're like, we're not, it's not that we're sort of like, not, I don't know how to explain this. We aren't like sort of like, we haven't just, right place, right time per se. I think we've actually got a really good idea. And that's why, he's not a fool. He's not just like, oh, I'll help these guys on their computers out. He's like, wow, actually, I see a lot of value in this. And I'm sure he has a good mentality to sort of decide what's valuable and what's not valuable.
And that's something that I have to, fight against me, because the thing is, I so hyped about this, and I'm so excited about this that I sometimes I say, okay, so is this just happening, or is this just, we are into something here, or is just my my hyping deceiving me, and it's not a good idea or something like that. And then I'm not a person that's it's really one of my skills is being patient. So these kinds of periods of time when we want to just stay quiet and try to build things that in the business side that are on the behind the scenes, that I can do anything but just look or wait, they're really difficult for me, because I just want to do things. I don't know. That's why also, I'm all over Discord. Just when I have the time, I just go, okay, so may I do some documentation, or may I just see if there is some trouble on any channel, or if I can just rearrange this to be easier for the users, or install this bot, or I don't know, whatever. I have to do things about Libernet because I have this Libernet inside my mind, behind my mind, and I can just keep out of my head. It's awesome.
I think the work you do is really good, and it makes me feel quite like it makes me feel quite quiet when I'm on I'm like, so what's on the Discord today? And then it's like, boom, we've got 3 new bots, and there's a dev, and there's dev meetings, and there's all this sort of thing. I'm like, oh my god, and I'm sort of talking, I'm sort of, I think about what it's just so funny. But that's true. I'm sort of getting invited onto this sort of project myself. I was just like, wow, this is really quite an opportunity. But I still like sort of, I had to sort of take a step back and be sort of like, well, I've actually spent a lot of time that, sort of working on communication and writing and talking to people and sort of, videos and creative outlets and the rest of it. So I had to sort of think like, well, maybe it isn't that we're all just like, we're all just lucky, and we're actually like, because not only are we're very talented at what we do, but we're also, we also really believe in what we're creating, right? That there's 100% this 100% we got this, like, you know, that of course we're working together. I think, you know, I also want to mention, like, I'm so glad that you're speaking about this in Spanish as opposed to trying to convince your followers to speak English, because because I think this is a real sort of, it's a real kind of sad part about the sort of globalization of communications, that we're all sort of and this is kind of off topic, but we're all sort of switching to, like, English is becoming sort of the universal language, and I think that can be it's quite sad in a lot of ways, because people we do lose entire worlds when we all switch, you know, when we all switch to the same language, we lose the variation for different cultures and different sort of, like, ways of thinking about things to arise, you know.
Yeah, and I know that very well, because, you know, English is not my first language, it's not my second language, it's my third language or something like that.
How many languages do you speak?
So Spanish, Galician, well, Galician, Spanish, then English, then Japanese, and then probably some I can just manage on Portuguese, because, you know, Portuguese and Galician are really, really close. So yeah. 4.5.
It makes me. I had when I lived in Finland and I was surrounded by by sort of, you know, sort of European people. I was like, you know, I'm the English guy, and everyone's speaking my language and is catered to me on a silver platter, and I'm like,
yeah,
hola, bonjour, you know, trying my best, you know, like, I'm just like, oh, I can't, I know. And they were like, James, you should learn. And I was like, yes, I know. I'm like, you know, and you know, we don't have that in Britain, or, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, in Galicia we have our own languages. It's Galician, and it's only talk here in the northwest in our provinces. So it's a language that is, I mean, it's not that, I mean, it's not that endangered yet, but there are people that doesn't speak it, and that's a shame. I mean, because, you know, languages are culture, or even are the whole culture. I mean, from the languages the culture born, so, and you could say it. So, or it's, well, kind of a loop, because, you know, the chicken and the egg. But, you know, what I want to say is that languages should be saved and protected, and I know very well that that's a problem that is happening. I mean, people not knowing forgetting languages.
Though perhaps I'm being too pessimistic and cynical, because we're seeing these apps like Duolingo and Babbel and all the rest of it, with this sort of integration of technologies, that, to be honest, you know, I'm noticing more people kind of like learning languages. So maybe it isn't just all English dominating the world, and people are interested, as long as we sort of remember as a species that, like, multiplicity and pluralism and variation of languages and cultures and ways of categorizing the world is so important. As long as we sort of, I don't know, implicitly keep that in the back of our minds, I think we might be all right. So
but the thing is, and we will be one of the people that will provide a tool to protect all the text in the world with Libernet, and then we try to do like the Omni library. That's a word that Dylan says, and it's awesome. The Omni library, we will do it, and we will kind of make people, enable people to access a worldwide, without censorship library, just from your phone, and with really little, probably even free. We will have to do some way. But the thing is, there's a lot of people in the world that they can't access a library, or the country where they live, they have some political or logistic or economical travels that they can provide their population with a good library, or even they have a library but not with all the books and the stuff that anyone could want. So that's what another of the reasons we will do this, to actually make a worldwide library, to be able to just as the smartphone revolution with the communication in a lot of countries, we will do it starting with books, but with a lot of media. So that's another thing that really excites me, that we could do that kind of thing. And
this is yeah.
yeah, so yeah, the thing is, and for me, uh, as you said, probably the languages are not going to be lost, because you can just save how it's talked, and now Google knows how to talk languages, and the pronunciation won't be lost for the languages that are currently living now. But if people stops talking those or speaking those languages, the culture behind that language probably gonna die. And that's really a sad thing, because it's really sad. But you're just gonna save them as a tool, because it's a tool of communication. And now most of the people just learn English because it's a tool of communication. I mean, it's the easiest tool to be able to speak with the most number of persons. I mean, you know English and Spanish, and you're probably safe for practically any part of the world. Well, the Asia is going to be different, because you should have some Asian language too. But I mean, it's like languages are
No, yeah.
treated as tools. And for example, for me, I started to speak Japanese. Probably already a lot of people do that because they like it, and anime and manga and stuff. So it was about the culture, not about the tool of communication. It's just because I like the culture, I wanted to consume media of that culture. So kind of I was getting worse and worse since I saw the things with the subtitles. And then I actually got my final year project of the university there. But I don't know, it's different way of seeing languages.
Yeah, yeah, and this is something that we're going to only encourage with Libernet, and with the ability for it's just that ability for just the communication, and I sort of have a kind of like, I don't know, as someone that writes philosophy sort of mainly, I sort of definitely think about like the difference between tools and maybe experiences. And there's tools are sort of logistical things that we can sort of use to sort of, I don't know, that are sort of necessary, like with even with the Libernet, like we are creating a tool for people. But at the end of the day, we are more, our drive, above sort of, I don't know, whatever successful ideas you want to come up with, are to sort of help experiences of people, and experiences of someone gaining knowledge, or gaining like a biography of experience through someone somewhere far away. And I don't know, all books basically, all possible ways of acquiring literary experience through literature. That's kind of the real thing that makes us passionate, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. I mean, tools without experience are just gonna be boring. I mean, no one's gonna.
Or tyrannical, and that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Also, yeah.
Yeah,
That's.
that. I mean that's sort of the end goal of like tools without a sort of like a sort of reason, sort of machines without a really sort of virtuous
Yeah.
program, and this is sort of, but this is like a but I think about sort of like the tool of religion, or something like this, like the tool of religion that eventually results in like pilgrimages and like slaughters and all the rest of it, and tools without any sort of justifiable cause, or anything, like any actual justifiable outcome. Like that this is sort of something that we really think about, like and that's why it's so important to sort of really remember the experience. I mean another tool such as like the dollar, I think is a huge one, and we must forget that the dollar is not an experience, it's a tool. And we mustn't get those, we mustn't fetishize the dollar and say, oh, I'm so glad I have the dollar, get rich or die trying, because the dollar should be there to help you do what you want to get yourself a good experience. The tool is a product of having to exist with other people that with the capacity to have languages and ways of constructing things, but that's not the end goal, even for Libernet, I'd say. So like the
Our mission is not just to be kind of the, as we said, the company in the center or whatever. We're just gonna just develop a tool, develop an ecosystem, develop an environment in which people can just do things. We're not just gonna meddle on those things. We're just provide the the tools and the experience so people can actually feel good doing those things with the tool. I mean, just selling things, selling your books, and being able to lend it to your family or your friends, being able to contribute to the Omni Library of the world, and actually getting some incentives for doing that. So my books that are on my shelves, they're actually going to be worthy or be of use of other people, and then and actually I'm going to just get something good from that too. So that's really empowering. And another point of sovereignty that I really love about blockchain for me is the most the first thing that I love about blockchain is the sovereignty that it just gives people the power to be again uh, on control of their actions and their things without having to trust anyone. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no puedo acuerdo más. Am I saying it right? Maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. really trying to get my multicultural self and put it into Spanish.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the thing, man. This is the thing. I also want to sort of mention in terms of having that sort of creating that sort of framework for people to do. Like, I'll talk a little bit about my idea about sort of quality, and the idea that I have sort of which I hopefully sort of we can create when Libernet's more established is now that we have the knowledge, how do we prove that we know it? And the normal answer would be to go to university and spend too much money on like a degree, or even to go and do online courses, which are still cheaper, but are still much too expensive considering the knowledge is already there for free. It's, free to a certain extent. When we talk about, this is going to be for free. You don't have to pay anything to watch this, and you're learning, as a viewer. Now, if you watched 40 hours of things relating to this, why is there no way for you to show an employer or show a community that you have learned it? Because there's no framework at the moment unless you go to university or the rest of it. So that's kind of the little idea. I'm just sort of planting the seed at the moment, because I spoke to Dylan about a week ago, and that's I think there is definitely a call for decentralized qualifications, and that can be a lovely partner with what we're trying to do with Libernet at the moment. So we have the liberation of human knowledge, and then finally the sort of the acquiring of the proof that you know it. This and again, this is the sort of
because
tool, yeah.
That's really awesome that you think like that, because when you start to think about blockchain,
yes,
another thing that just gets into your mind is don't trust, verify. That you kind of adapt that concept to each and everything you kind of do, like not taking a coffee, but that big things you start to question those kind of things. And that's also really true, that now education is really trust based. I mean, you have to trust that the university that you got into, it's making a good program to the people that are going to that university, and then trusting that they didn't make any kind of foul play in the exams and that kind of stuff. But that's another way to doing. Why don't you, instead of trust X or Y university, just verify that this guy already so did this on the blockchain, and then he learned and was learning and was reading about this and has these things, and that kind of thing, it's possible now, and it's really awesome.
Of course, exactly. I mean, one of the setbacks I sort of had is like, do we even need to sort of have the sort of official qualification? But I was sort of thinking, like, I think it is still sort of relevant. If I were to watch a crash course, like there's a YouTube video, it's like a crash course economics, and I can watch like 40 videos of that. I've spent hours and hours of time, learning about this in a really user-friendly kind of interactive way, where I can sort of see the concepts and diagrams, because it's so they're so well made or whatever. Like, if I want to sort of, become an economics advisor for some sort of company, and I've watched all of that, and I want to start off as an intern, like there should be, it would take such a little amount of sort of, dev work, or something that you would probably, this is sort of definitely your sort of job, would be the sort of most of the work with this, because people would be, once you sort of create an ability to create like generated tests or whatever in a certain way like that, and people can then do the tests, and then they can sort of prove they know and say, oh, well, yeah, you've got like a sort of decentralized qualification in economics or whatever, because you've watched all the necessary information. Then that not only is like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool, but it stops a lot of people from making silly decisions and decisions that they've been sort of coerced in by the sort of universities and get based on the sort of trust thing. Like, I was saying, like, on Sunday, like the whole daddy will take care of it mindset, I don't want to, I want to be a philosopher or sociologist at the time, but I just don't quite want to just jump into the world. Oh, I'll go to a university. Daddy will take care of it kind of mindset. You know what I mean? And this is what we're all going. Yeah, sorry, please. I'm talking too much. Go.
No. The thing is, you have to, or we have to go fast with that idea, because probably Michael Saylor is going to get that idea from you, or it's going to just implement it by himself, because he has like the Michael Saylor Academy, where he just get a lot of careers for free for people. So because he said that I don't want to trust universities just to verify, and knowledge shouldn't be something that you have to pay for. Knowledge should be, something that can transcend time and space, as he said, like, with videos and stuff. And why do we have like, thousands of teachers on universities teaching, mathematics, where we can get like the best mathematician in the world, just get and explain it, record it, and then have it, put it on to all the people that wants to actually learn mathematics. So well, that gets the problem of all the jobs that going to be lost for the teachers. But leaving that aside,
what are jobs but tools, and if you have a bad tool, I mean, to go back, what if you have a bad tool, then then leave away, keep paying them. I don't know, like,
I mean, it's really hard, and it should be like another podcast, or arguing with people that has that kind of problems with, for example, the Uber with the taxis and stuff, and this kind of, now the banks are gonna feel it, because like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is gonna just eat them if they don't do something about it, because they can just be the same services that they do now, because they don't have any sense now in this kind of economy. So it's really hard for them.
What I mentioned in a podcast, either the last one or the one before that, I think what's going to happen to the banks is that what they're going to do is they're going to try and create their own version of cryptocurrency, which is still like, fucking, shite and corrupt or whatever. Like, oh, this is our version of cryptocurrency, join and you'll get like a small interest, but don't worry, it's secure and safe and it's not risky. There's this kind of nonsense that they're going to, and then people who are in their pensions and people who are sort of not tech savvy will be like, oh, okay, well, this is, and it'll be some sort of some underhanded sort of version of it. And if that doesn't take off, I think they're going to try and criminalize it. Like, I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to do their best as a smear campaign, like with cannabis in the beginning of the 20th century, like, saying,
or being like custodians, like that, like playing for services that you can do by yourself, but because people doesn't know about it, they're gonna just use their services because they are more safe, because they have on a central server on, I don't know, whatever it is, and then it's gonna be super safe because we have people with guns or whatever and outside. I don't know.
Daddy will take care of it mindset.
Yeah, that's the thing.
As opposed to I really loved how me and my anarchist, because my last guy I had on was this. He's doing a dissertation on anarchy at the moment, and I was sort of talking, and at risk of repeating myself, though perhaps not risky, because like it's good to repeat important topics and for people to sort of have things told them, and they may not have seen that podcast. I mean, like, but the thing is that you have to willingly step into uncertainty. That's a condition of life. It's not conditioned with cryptocurrency. With everything, you always are thrust into a place where you have to make your own choices and are responsible for your own choices. And to say that you're not, and to sort of delegate your responsibility to a religion or an institution or a university, and this sort of daddy will take care of it mindset, it's not an answer. Like it's not an answer if you know, anyway, because you're still making the choice. You're still, you know, you're just pretending you haven't got a choice anymore.
Yeah, the thing is, when you kind of taste the being able to be by yourself, for me, it's really kind of wanting to do it in each and every aspect of my life. I mean, I doing this. I mean, when I was, I'm going to say I'm doing it because I also like it and relaxes me. Not just misunderstand me. But the thing is, I started growing my own vegetables and that's the thing that, you know, people just probably gonna, well, here in the north in Spain it's really normal. I mean, we have a lot of culture of having farms and stuff, but you know, I had just a conversation on Twitter with other people that say, okay, but why are you doing this? Because, you know, being able to say, okay, so I don't have to go to this supermarket or this big chain to just buy things. I can just eat by myself. It's really empowering. I mean, I don't want to give money to those people because they don't treat well the people that actually, you know, creates or provides the materials to the supermarket. So yeah, that's the, you know, kind of a click in your mind that you start to try to be as independent as you can. For me was like this. I mean,
we also grow vegetables in our garden as well. So like, you know, we and you know, the first year, I mean, it's a lot of, you know, we have to water the plants and everything and all the rest of it. But like, there's a certain sort of thing where it's that kind of voidness. I don't know how to explain it. It's this kind of like, oh, I haven't delegated my responsibility. Oh, these are my carrots, and I'm eating them.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel anxious because you're not on rocky ground anymore. Do you understand what I mean? You're sort of not on like the, oh, these are the perfect carrots, the perfect all of this, and you're left sort of feeling like there's no price. There's no. But it can be a very uncomfortable feeling for a lot of people. The same thing with Bitcoin. Once you sort of say, oh, I can invest how I want, I can pay who I want, I can get what I want for what I consume, which is going to be the future, regardless of what your opinion is. You are left in the desert of the real. You're left in this like this uncertainty, which is what we have to accept. We have, you know, and it's embrace. We're very happy about, you know. I think it's wonderful. Yes, I think it's wonderful you're doing the vegetable thing.
Yeah, and another thing is, you know, don't you have like the feeling when you now that you just see the news and you see these politicians babbling and stuff, it's not like you gonna ignore it because it affects you and stuff. It's not like you have to be apolitic or whatever. But you know, I kind of sometimes I had this feeling of like they live in another world, in like a parallel world, and then I see them like, you know, companies that, you know, that because that's why I think they're gonna be in the future. I mean, you just going to use, for example, I am gonna use the euro, then I just gonna pay the fees of the euro. But if I'm just gonna use, you know, just change my country and go to the US or UK, I'm gonna use their money. Then I'm gonna just pay the fees on their money. But if I'm using Bitcoin or I'm using other cryptocurrencies, I don't have to pay any country because I don't using their services. It's not like I'm not just gonna pay, you know, the taxes for you know, for electricity or for the things they build on the street, on not that, because if I'm living here, I have to pay the taxes from here. But the thing is, the things that they don't affect that, you know, that money or that country, why do I have to pay for that in euros? So I think the for me the ideal thing is that, you know, governments are going to be like any other company. You subscribe to them if you use them, and if not, just use the cryptocurrencies.
I want to mention that I'm going to try and get a woman called Susanna on the podcast at some point, and she's the founder of BitNation. Do you know about BitNation?
Yeah.
I literally, you know, chaos and uncertainty. You know, it's part of our life. I was walking down the street and I had no sleep, and I was just sort of wandering, because I wander around town looking like a crazy person sometimes, because that's just what I like to do it, you know. And it'll be like a sleepless night or whatever. And I was sort of walk past the coffee shop, and this woman was just like, "Hey, come in," and I was like, okay. And then I came in, and now that's my regular coffee bit. I don't even need to go to coffee there. I can just get my own coffee. But like, she's an entrepreneur as well, and she used to work with Susanna on BitNation. And I'm really, I mean, I don't know Susanna. I just want to clarify to people. Like, I don't have a contact with her. I just know who she is. But I think it'd be really wonderful if I can get her on, because what BitNation is, it wants to really systematically question the nation state and suggest a way in which we can be a community and we can exchange, monetarily and socially through,
we talked about that on Libernet. I don't know if you were on that conversation that time, but we talk about being the library of the internet, of the, the nation of the internet, because when these things start to happen, like when you have like nations on the internet, there's gonna be the need for a library. So we even talk about trying to get, I don't know how to say, but the permissions or whatever you need to be a library in each country, so we can just import those rights of being able to publish things on Libernet too. So that's a really cool thing to do.
Really exciting. I think we've been on for about an hour now. Do you want to leave it there?
Now, I just wanted to say, as I say in my videos on my YouTube channel, that please just listen to us, but don't take the things we do, or I mean the things we say, like just like a law or something like that, because the most important thing is that you think by yourself, you analyze things by yourself, and do your own research, because and then get your decisions based on your own knowledge, because that's the most important. And just I really hope that this podcast you passed a really good time and you learned something new. And let's keep seeing this podcast with Jim, because they are really amazing, and I always hear it whenever they came out, not because I'm part of Libernet, because I really think they are really interesting. And that's it. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's wonderful having you, David. And I just want to sort of follow up what you're sort of saying by saying, like, above all, we're not trying to sell anything particularly to you. We are helping. We like, what I try and do on here is create like entertainment and education to help you sort of, I don't know, for people to sort of think differently, not even educate you with new knowledge, but educate you with sort of frameworks to make you like just question the status quo, make you question like what is a necessary part of life. And obviously topics like, how banking is working now, how politics is working now, how nations work now is coming up. But we know that, I think the main sort of, one of my main drives for doing this is really just like sort of helping people question what and I think a lot of what I'm about anyway is not necessarily about selling or teaching people new things or putting new pieces of knowledge, but undoing a lot of things that a lot of baggage that people have been taught in the past.
Yeah, because the human race has the bad habit of believing that what they are doing is because they have been doing it like a long time, is the right thing to do or the normal thing to do. But that doesn't mean that it's right, it's the optimal thing or the right thing to do. I mean, we have been using like the euro and the USD and this kind of stuff, and we're used to that. That's not the only solution. There are other solutions. So just get another point of view and get into the rabbit hole, because you're gonna say, why didn't I get this sooner? Yeah. Really.
That's how everyone thinks. I mean, I always reference Schopenhauer when he says, the truth comes in three forms. First, it's first it's ignored, then it's rejected, then it's accepted as self-evident and so boring. Like, oh yeah, good. And that's how it always works. And that's what I think. Hopefully this episode and other episodes to come will really help people do, not only give people access to new bits of knowledge to make them go, oh, wow, this is happening, Libernet's happening, Pizza DAO's happening, Cypher's happening, but also to make them just, to question themselves and to liberate themselves from preconceived dogmatic ideas. David, pleasure to have you on. It's been really fun. Looking forward to sort of talking to you later on the call. And thanks to everyone for watching. If you liked anything or noted anything down that really helped, please leave a comment. If you disagree with anything that we said, as I said, we're not experts. We are people, just people living their lives, and all the rest of it. And if there's anyone, and if there's any criticism or any sort of query, please leave it in the comments. And if you like what we're doing, please, do the whole habitual, subscribe, like, and share with relevant people that you might think you might benefit from this, and all the rest of it. All of that rigmarole. So, David, it's been wonderful. Buenas noches y adios. And I'll see everyone again next time. Lovely. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night.